Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, which is, as you can probably guess, going to be a booktube channel. My name is Margarida, I'm 23 years old and I'm from this absolute beauty of a country, Portugal. This is going to be a sort of presentation video, so a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's degree in information science and a master's degree in services engineering and management from the University of Porto. I have a cat. She's named Layla and she's going to be 5 years old this year. And I love books. Well, since you don't know very much about me and I don't know all of the futuristic, hypothetical yous, I hope, I've decided that for today's video I will introduce myself and talk a little bit about myself in the bookish manner I found possible by presenting to you my favorite books. Well, I could talk about dozens and dozens of books, but as a first video, I don't want you to get sick of me straight away. So today I've decided to bring you only 5. They are all a little bit different from each other, and I hope you like. So a quick disclaimer before we jump into it. As I've mentioned, I'm Portuguese, and therefore I read some books in Portuguese. Now, for the past 2 years, I've been reading more and more books in English, but I still like to read in Portuguese, and I will try to bring you some authors and some pieces of work that I think truly represent the Portuguese language in the best way possible, and perhaps even teach you some Portuguese. Who knows? With that being said, let's jump right in. So what is until now one of my favorite books of all time is The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera, which is Insustentável Leveza do Ser in Portuguese, which is actually the language I read it in. This book was published in 1984. It talks about 2 women, 2 men, and a dog, and their lives, their beliefs, and how their actions evolve and progress throughout time. But don't let this book fool you. It is about so much more than that. It talks about art and politics and life in Europe in the 60s and the 70s. And this book involves you in a relationship between 2 people, Tomás and Teresa, and how they are so different in terms of how they view love and relationships, life, politics as well, sex, loyalty, commitment, and ultimately freedom. It's a beautiful juxtaposition of how Tomás, for instance, he views life as fleeting. You only live once, so you should seize it and not care too much about frivolous things. On the other hand, you have Teresa, who, on viewing life this way, actually has the struggle of caring about everything and recognizing that because you only have this one life to live, you should make it have meaning and make something remarkable of it. And so you have these 2 people who actually love each other but are so different in their beliefs and in the way they want to live life that they struggle, and it's telling of their relationship. This is a raw and true study on human existence, and I always recommend everyone reading it. It's an exquisite story. Okay, next up we have Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. So this is actually one of my favorite reads of 2021. It quickly became one of my favorite books of all time. I read this when I was in Italy. Last summer I went to do some volunteer work in Greece for 2 months. I met some wonderful people there. After finishing my volunteer program, I went 3 weeks to Italy. The fact that I read it in Italy, it made me enjoy the book even more. But enough about that, let's talk about the actual book. So this was published in 1960, and it is loosely based on Harper Lee's childhood in Alabama. This book is about a family. We have Atticus Finch, who is the father, he's an attorney. We have Jem Finch, who is the son, and daughter Scout Finch, who is our narrator and Harper Lee's fictional self. I believe many people are already acquainted with the book. It tells us the story of a young white woman who accuses a black man of raping her. Atticus actually takes on the job of defending this man in court, and the whole story is just leading up to that moment. Even though this book entails some very serious issues, it is beautifully written, and it's written in such a endearing manner. You get the perspective of a child, and she's questioning the cruel manners of adults. All the while she's growing up in the middle of the story and reflecting upon these issues herself. It is funny, it is clever, it is beautifully paced. One of my favorite moments about this book is actually when you're reading, you understand that Scout, she's a very smart young woman, but there are moments in the book in which you are clearly reminded that she's just a child. And my favorite is when she sees snow for the first time, she thinks that the world is ending, the sky is falling, and then you get to see a patient father teach her that it's just snow and it's funny, and she goes out and builds a snowman. I think it's adorable. I love this book. I think you can tell probably. I think everyone should read it. It's very informative and it's a great read. Okay, so next up we have Stephen Fry's Mythos, the Greek Myths Retold. This was published in 2017. I believe I never shut up about this book. I think I've recommended it probably 1,000 times ever since I read it, which was last year before I went to Greece, because I felt like I wanted to be prepared. I don't know what for. No one quizzed me about Greek mythology. It's not a prerequisite for visiting the country or anything. I think because I was going, I wanted to feel it. I wanted to know about it before I went, so when I was there, I could understand more. I don't want to tell you too much about this book because I'm actually thinking about doing another video on this series. This is genuinely one of the nicest books I've ever read in my life. Now, I believe I'm a smart woman, but I would lie if I told you that I've never doubted myself regarding Greek mythology. I always thought Greek mythology was too long, too extensive, too complex. I wouldn't be able to fully grasp what it was about, all of the people that were involved in it, so actual mortals and gods and deities, and there's so many folk. But the truth is, Stephen Fry makes it so tangible, so accessible, and so simple that I now feel smarter and wiser because of this book. The contextualization of it and the different stories and the storytelling of it, it's just mind-boggling to me how someone can take something so complex and so intricate and so extensive and put it in such a plain way for everyone to be able to read it regardless of their previous knowledge on the subject. So I actually believe he went to the Graham Norton show and explained that the way he wanted people to feel while reading this book was exactly as if they were sitting around a fire and talking about Greek mythology and how people are fascinated by the Greeks with your friends or your loved ones. And sir, did you manage to accomplish it? Yes, you did. And probably much more than that. You are truly God sent. Thank you. Next up, for our fourth book, we have White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. So this was actually published in 1848. This book is special to me because I truly believe that this was the game changer in my life. I read it about 8 years ago, I think, and it was the first time that a book taught me how special books can be. It tells us a story of our narrator who is an absolute dreamer, but he is feeling extremely lonely one night in St. Petersburg. He meets this woman on the street called Nastenka, which is a short name for Anastasia, and he immediately falls in love with her. The problem is she cannot love him back because she is missing her lover. This is a very short story, but one of my favorite moments about this book is right at the beginning, on the very first night that they meet. He walks her home and he asks her, "When can I see you again?" Before she even answers, he just says, "Forget I asked, I will be in the same place at the same time tomorrow night. Just meet me there." This book is a bit sad, I must say. Don't get the wrong impression of it, but it's a beautiful story about a dreamer who is seeking love. Finally, the last book is Call Me By Your Name by Andrea Siman, which was published in 2007. Now, I do not have a physical copy of it. I lent it to my cousin for her to read, but I have some artwork on the wall. I tend not to like movie or TV covers for books, but this one in particular, I thought it was very beautiful. This book tells us the story of a summer romance and a truly unique love between a curious and smart young man named Elio and a visiting scholar to his home in Italy during the summer, Oliver. This book is beautifully written. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it moves you. It is a love affair for the ages. I was just always thinking to myself, how on earth does one come to feel so much love? I was a bit jealous, to be honest, about all of it. About Andrea Simon's ability to write so beautifully, about Elio's willingness to love and to open up, about Oliver's openness, gentleness as well. And I actually named my piano Elio after this book. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the end, I appreciate you. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, just leave it all in the comments below. I will leave all of my socials down below. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, go follow me on Instagram, check my blog, and that would be it. Bye!